Okay, so today we're going to learn how to create a sketch type image from a photograph or of whatever you want. You can have it with color, or once you're finished you can sort of have it black and white, whatever you want. So this is one that we prepared earlier from one of Miss Australia, Erin McNaught, 2006. So let's get started. Close this. No. Okay, so you've got your image, which is basically like this. You want to select all of your image, so you can press select all or control A, copy. Then you want to create a new image based on that copy. Background white, clipboard, yep, looks good. So then we want to paste that. You can go edit, paste, or control V. Now the first thing we want to do is to rename this layer. Oops, rename this layer to original, and then original, and then duplicate this layer, and we'll call it desaturated. Desaturated. And then we want to, of course, desaturate the layer, so you go to image, adjustments, and desaturate. Now, the next thing we want to do is duplicate the desaturated layer, and we'll call it layer 1. And then for this layer, we want to apply a smart blur filter. So we go to filter, blur, smart blur, and settings we want to use here is 60 for radius, 100 for threshold, quality high or best, mode edge only, and then we just hit OK there. And then the next thing we want to do is invert that. So we just go to image mode and invert, so it gives us the black outline. Then the next thing we want to do is apply a gaussian blur. So we go to filter, blur, gaussian blur, and we want to do a radius of 1, and then hit OK. Also, we want to change the blending mode to hard light. So just select hard light here, and then that one's done. So we want to make another copy of the desaturated layer, and we call that number 2, and we just move that above number 1 there. Then we want to add the emboss filter to this one, so we go filter, stylize, emboss, and the settings here, angle doesn't really matter, radius, oh, well, the height, sorry, is 1, and the amount is 119%, and then we just hit OK on that. And then for the blending mode, we want to select hard light, and then that one's done. Now we want to create another copy of the desaturated layer and call it number 3. Move number 3 above number 2. And what we want to do here is apply the smart blur filter again. This time we use the radius of 10 and threshold of 100, quality high, edge only. Then hit OK. And then we want to invert this, so we go to image adjustments, invert, and then select the blending mode to multiply, and we'll change the capacity here to about 40%, and then that one's done. Now what we want to do is create another duplicate copy of the desaturated layer, and we'll call this one number 4, then hit OK, move that up over number 3, and we want to add a glowing edges filter, so we go to filter, stylize, glowing edges, and now the settings here we want to have is edge width 1, edge brightness 7, and smoothness 6. So just hit OK on that, and then of course we need to invert the layer again, and we will set the blending mode to multiply, and the capacity will set as 40% again. Now this time we want to duplicate layer 4 and just have it as full copy, and then we want to apply a Gaussian blur filter. This time we'll have a radius of about 3, sometimes use 4 if you want, it's really up to you. And then just make sure the blending mode is multiply, and we'll change the capacity to 100%. Now we can have a look here. You can stop here if you want, if you don't want to add any color, but you can see the difference here. It looks pretty alright. So what we want to do now, if you want to add color, we go down to the original layer and select duplicate layer. We call it color. That's how we spell it in Australia. And then we move that above all the layers. And then we want to set the blending mode to hard light. And then you can go a step further, duplicate that layer, and then set the blending mode to color. And so you can just sort of play around with that on how you want it, just make visible. And that's basically it. So I hope this has helped you, and don't forget to check out our website, lovetohelp.com, for more Photoshop, Windows, all types of video tutorials, all for free. And good luck and have fun.